Hey, what's up? I haven't made a Hinduism video in a while, because there's, been lots of things going on, um, and I've been kind of busy, but I wanted to make a Hinduism video because Krishna Janamastami is coming up next week, and to prepare for that, I started reading Canto 10 from the Bhagavatam Purana, which is basically all the stories about Krishna. And it's funny because um, for a long time, I really didn't have a very strong connection to Krishna because of the way he had been presented um, to me by certain through certain images and through kind of the way certain people present Krishna. I didn't really connect with him at all because he seemed too syrupy and at the same time kind of like shallow. I would see these images of Krishna kind of like, playing his flute and just like, and all these like girls like, oh, and then, you would see this quote that like, oh, you can find this through me, you can find life through me, and it's just like, it didn't really grab me like the other avatars of Vishnu did. And it was funny because when I came to Hinduism, I was attracted to Vaishnavism, which is the branch of Hinduism that deals with Lord Vishnu. And Krishna is an incarnation of Vishnu, the force of preservation. So whenever the human race gets itself into a tangle and it looks like they're going to get themselves in trouble to the point that they might go extinct, Lord Vishnu, or the force of preservation, incarnates into a being, sometimes a human, sometimes an animal, called an avatar, and the avatar kind of changes the paradigm of human civilization and kind of gets us back on track. So depending on basically what school of Vaishnavism you're interested in, Krishna was either the eighth or the ninth avatar of Vishnu. Um, and I had read the Ramayana, and I liked Ram. Ram was like, the serious warrior, kind of the noble man who, was the prime example of how you should act and behave in society, and and but and I was interested in the whole concept and Vishnu's other avatars, but I just was like so reluctant to learn about Krishna, and um, but so what happened was, um, my friends were telling me, they were like, okay, Krishna Janamastami is coming up and we're going to be celebrating. You should kind of know what's going on and why we're doing it. And I was asked to write an article and I didn't know anything about it. I had read the Mahabharata and I know Krishna is in the Mahabharata, but honestly, the Mahabharata was so dense. There were so many things going on in that book that I kind of didn't really absorb a lot of stuff. And so I don't even remember Krishna in the Mahabharata. But so I was like, okay, how am I going to learn about Krishna? Where am I going to go? And then I came across the Bhagavatam Purana, which is again, the stories of Krishna's life. And I started reading it, and I was like amazed because Krishna was nothing like what I thought he was or what he had been presented to be in popular culture. the and I'm only halfway through Canto 10 of the Bhagavatam Purana. It has many cantos, and each canto has many chapters. So I'm only reading one of the cantos, and I'm halfway done with it, and I am just amazed by the. It's great. It's the story of Krishna, and it's an interesting story because it deals with villains and demons, and it talks about like why Vishnu was incarnating into Krishna, and it tells a story about it's telling the story about his birth and then his early childhood, fighting forces of evil. So it's an interesting story. There's like snakes, it's mythological, dragons or demonic forces, and then there's this young guy Krishna and his friends and his pack of friends, and they're going out and they're having all these adventures. But there's this deep philosophy that is embedded into the story, that you're constantly being drenched. You're interested in the story, but you are constantly being drenched in this philosophy that's very deep, but at the same time, it's very practical and of this world and right now, and teaching you how to be happier in this world and how to fit in better. Like, where do you fit in? What kind of person are you? You know, what should you be doing to be happiest so that you can, so that you honestly can venerate the power more, um, because when you learn and you become happy through Hindu teachings, you want to venerate the power more. And it's it's funny. Part of the things, you would see a lot of people that were involved with Krishna. They have a lot of bhakti in them, and a lot of, they praise Krishna and love Krishna. And sometimes I didn't really get that, but now that I'm learning about Krishna and I'm learning about like who he really is, I'm starting to see that. I'm starting to be like, wow, I really like and fall in love with Krishna. And in the story, all these girls are falling in love with Krishna, and it's some of it's kind of racy a little bit, like, a little bit like, I don't know how to put it, but there's Krishna had a lot of girlfriends, and he's just like this. What's best about it is that you're entertained, but you're being taught something really deep, and you're being taught, but you're not being lectured, and you just want to learn more and more and more and more. And it really, really, if there's something about the Bhagavatam Purana, and there's something about the story of Krishna that kind of cleanses your soul and bathes your soul. And when you're reading the scriptures in Hinduism a lot, they say that, like, by reading this, you are cleansing your soul. And I don't. It's I'm not the type of person that I'm just gonna be like, oh, because the book said I'm cleansing my soul, I'm cleansing my soul. I'm more of a scientific-minded person. I actually want to kind of, I'm not gonna just like think that because the book told me. You don't even need to believe in anything supernatural, which I don't really necessarily believe in anything supernatural. You don't need to believe in the supernatural to feel like this philosophy is elevating you and helping you in your life, and really is kind of correcting your thinking in ways and making you look at the world and see your own mistakes. But at the same time, you don't feel like bad, like, oh, I'm inadequate. You feel like you're being liberated. And it's just like that. It's that feeling of liberation that people get this kind of extreme devotion for Krishna. And maybe sometimes what I think, Krishna, you want to give him extreme devotion, and maybe there are certain people who know the power of Krishna and they might use it for nefarious purposes. And maybe that's part of the reason why Krishna has gotten a bad name, because people are manipulating his bhakti movement. But I just wanted to kind of put that out there, and talk about how I went from not really being all that interested in Krishna, maybe being a little bit averse to him, to actually realizing that he's like a lot different than anything I thought he was, and that there's actually a really deep and soul cleansing philosophy that goes along with his story. And so Krishna Janamastami is coming up next weekend, Saturday or Sunday, depending on where you live or what timetable you use. But I really encourage everyone. I'll post a link to the International Gita Society's version of the Bhagavatam Purana, and you can read any chapter you want, but chapter 10 is what talks about the birth, and that's what we'll be doing on next weekend. We'll be celebrating Lord Krishna's birth, and I'm actually really excited to do that. So, yeah, I mean, I just wanted to put that out there, and start making, focusing on Hinduism videos again. And it's Krishna got me into that. Like, I haven't been doing it for a while, and Krishna made me want to do bhakti. And so, I'm falling in love with Krishna. I'm becoming one of these people that I was like, what's up with them? But that's it. So I encourage everyone to read it, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks. Bye.